What's going on, fellow fantasy basketball lovers? Welcome back to District of Buckets Fantasy Basketball this week. Welcome to all the new subscribers. We about doubled our growth once again last week. If you are new here, which about 85% of you are, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. We love to stay in touch with our fans. We got some good stuff coming up for you today, so let's roll the tape. Welcome back to Fantasy Basketball this week. I'm Tyler Castle. I'm with my co-host, Carl Baltimore. We got some good stuff for you today. We're going to be going over all the injuries. There were lots of them in the last week. We're going to be going over some franchise and career highs. And then we're going to be going over the best waiver wire pickups for the coming week. Make sure you stick around for all the good stuff. Carl, how's your team doing, man?
Two leagues, 6-1 in one, but in our league, forgot to set my lineup. Taking an L. Left
100 points on the bench. You left a career high on your bench.
Yeah.
106 fantasy point performance from Jokic.
Yep. And that's why number one rule to everybody out here watching is to always set your lineup. Always check it. Just always set your lineup.
Oh, man.
How are you doing?
You're gonna lose your credibility if you keep acting like that. But I'm doing well. We're in another battle this week. There's two number one seeds. I'm playing against the other number one seed in our league, and we're going back and forth. Every time I start to pull away, it seems to catch up. But I got the edge right now. I'm hoping that by the time everybody's watching this, that I've already won my sixth game. I'll be 6-1, leading the league in fantasy points. So I'm feeling good. But let's start doing the stuff that'll help the people out. To start us off, let's go over some of our injury report, some people that you need to be looking out for. Christian Wood. Christian Wood is on a week-to-week evaluation with a sprained ankle, so he's going to have to take that IR spot. Another injury, Marcus Smart. He's on a week-to-week evaluation with a strained calf. KD's out with COVID in that weird little situation. George Hill's currently out. Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and Markelle Fultz are all out for the Magic. OG Anunoby is out with calf issues. And then it was just announced that Larry Nance is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken finger on his hand, I believe. Is there anybody else you wanted to mention, Carl?
Big ones for me. Wendell Carter Jr., who's been hurt for a while. Just going to be reevaluated in a couple weeks. K-Love is on his way slowly back.
Yep.
But he's not going to be available at least in the next 5 games, I think ESPN said. Jamal Murray's still monitoring his knee, which is one that's it's the day-to-day injury, so it's something that I'm looking out for. Let's see, what else do I have here? The Warriors, both their centers, two of their centers, Wiseman and Looney are both hurt. There's a lot of opportunity there for opposing bigs who are going up against the Warriors for the next, honestly, couple of weeks at this point.
Yep.
So that's really all I really have so far.
Yeah, and then I forgot to mention Jaren Jackson Jr. He was hinting at a return in the coming weeks. That's not going to happen. It's probably going to be another month or so. So if you're holding them out on that IR spot and there's another guy you want to keep, I would do that. Because Jaren Jackson's not coming back for a little bit while longer. And Jonas Valanciunas in his first week back, he balled out. Carl called that one, so shout out Carl. All right, speaking of shout outs, we got some shout outs to do.
Oh yeah.
It was a big week in the NBA. There's a lot going on, but the most important one, Fred VanVleet, he bet on himself this week. He did 54-point career high, 54-point franchise record against Orlando. Shout out Fred VanVleet. This guy's been hooping all year long. I believe with that performance, he got himself the number one position rank for point guards this year. So shout out Fred. We got a bunch more shout outs. We'll roll a clip for each one of these, but roll the Fred VanVleet clip.
Talking about his defense, and to him have a special night like this, look at Kyle looking for him. He gets another two.
And there it is. The Raptor record, Fred VanVleet.
All right. Shout out Fred. Next shout out, Steph Curry. has hit the 55-plus point mark for the second time this season, this time in a loss to the Mavericks. He's going head-to-head against Luka.
He'll try and score quickly so they don't have to foul on the final possession. Curry on the drive, gets inside, reverse, banks it home, and the foul! Curry's fouled by Kleber, and a chance to cut it.
Shout out Steph. That was a great game by him. Tried to carry the shorthanded Warriors, but didn't come up with the dub this time.
Yeah, and I just wanted to interject real quick and just a shout out. My first shout out today is Luka for going 42, 7, 11 and getting the dub in that game.
He floats it into Porzingis, knocked out of his hands, saved to Kleber. Kleber back out, Doncic, three-pointer, bang! Luka Doncic from downtown, and the lead is 7 with 43 seconds remaining.
We all know the Mavs have been having their issues, and he's gotten a lot of heat, but like he's still showing up. You know, he's still showing up, and we see the talent every single night. It's amazing to watch this guy play. A little frustrating to see him draw a bunch of fouls when he probably shouldn't, but still really fun to watch him play.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm moving Kristaps Porzingis by the end of the trade deadline. They just don't mesh well together as much as they should. So I would be on the lookout for that. I don't know that necessarily that'll happen. That's a big contract to move, but keep out on the lookout for a KP move. Next shout out, LaMelo Ball, youngest player in Hornets history to go for 30. Shout out LaMelo Ball. He comes up on our podcast a lot. We're not like Bleacher Report. He doesn't come up every tweet, but.
Oh, I love the challenge. Yeah, I love the challenge. And because LaMelo gets it back from Hayward, and with the left hand.
Shout out LaMelo Ball. He's having a good year. A lot of people doubted him coming in just because they didn't like his dad, but yeah, he's doing pretty well. And next shout out, Pat Williams of the Bulls, the youngest player on the Bulls to go for 20. You would, like, your initial thought is like, who would be the youngest Bulls player to go for 20? It's probably not Patrick Williams. Probably thinking, I don't know, MJ.
Rose, honestly.
D Rose, yeah. But when D Rose was Patrick Williams' age, he was cheating on the ACT. So shout out Patrick Williams, youngest Bulls player to go for 20. Roll the Patrick Williams tape.
Wouldn't go down, but Thaddeus Young comes out with it. Off to Williams.
Watch your head. Oh, Magic Johnson again gets his rebound and finds a cutting Patrick Williams to the.
And lastly, for me, another career high this week. Shout out to the Joker, my MVP candidate currently. Went for 58 and 12 against Sacramento.
Give back to Jokic. He'll fire the three. And he bakes it in for a new career high. A new career high. Good play here.
On the game. Dude's balling out. The MVP battle between him and Joel Embiid is going to get intense this year. I mean, granted, if LeBron and the Lakers win 60 games this year, 58 games this year, LeBron probably should win the MVP.
Yeah.
But if we're going to do the classic NBA thing where we don't just give the MVP winner the MVP, the greatest player of all time, the MVP, then it's probably going to Joel Embiid or the Joker.
And then on my front with that one, because I've been a big Embiid backer, but, you know, if the Sixers get to a point where they can kind of coast in the East and you start to see them load manage Embiid, I can easily see Jokic just running away with it because he has to do this for his team to be in games.
Yeah. A lot of people are wanting to start working MPJ into that conversation of the traditional big three, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. I'm strongly anti that, but that could be a possibility. So MPJ has a lot of upside this season just because a lot of people are pressuring the Nuggets into giving him more minutes, and that's kind of how the league works. That's kind of how a lot of things work nowadays. You get pressured into doing things. Carl, would you like to continue on with your shout outs?
Yes, I would. I'd like to shout out Tyrese Halliburton, guard the Sacramento Kings. the guy I've mentioned several times, so I'm just still surprised, slips 12 in the draft and is making everybody pay for it. They just have a great combination in that backcourt. Him, Fox. Honestly, like, I want to see him start over Hield, see if that works out. But just like to shout him out for just having a stellar rookie year so far. I'd say he's had so far like the highest floor of any rookie that you've seen. Like, it's consistently night in, night out. We've been able to see his production, and he's my initial front runner for that award. But I think that a lot of more, in my opinion, a couple of more talented guys might be able to pass him. Like, I think LaMelo is going to make a great case to pass him like relatively soon if he keeps playing the way he's been playing since he's been starting. So, but still want to shout out to Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, definitely. Which makes me think of, if you guys like us talking about these kind of MVP, Deep Boy, Rookie of the Year races, let us know, and we'll just do a video dedicated to that kind of stuff, and we'll dive into the details of each individual player that's up for winning that award. I think it'd be pretty fun. I like doing that kind of stuff, but let us know in the comments down below. Is that it for your shout out, guys?
Shout out, yeah, that's really about it. And then I'll actually, let me just add one more. The fact that Bradley Beal is number one for Eastern Conference guards when it comes to All-Star voting, which is pretty crazy to me, because last year he was still putting up somewhat similar numbers and wasn't even cracking it. Still think it's a part of the ploy by the league to try to get him out of here, but because now they want to show the attention this year when we were a better team last year, even though he was still, the scoring was still less. But I'd like to shout out Bradley Beal for, just tough and just every day just showing up to work. He had a rough game against the Heat last game, but he'll bounce back. This is like first bad game, and like, I don't even know how long I can even say that. So
yeah, I think a lot of the reason that the Wizards are getting so much attention this year is the Russell Westbrook Bleacher Report effect.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but he's been on that kind of stuff for a long time, and he's just now getting the national attention from it. Now, I'm guilty of it as well. I don't know if I've ever watched a full Wizards game before the Westbrook era. So, but yeah, shout out Bradley Beal. Shout out all the people that are finally starting to recognize that he's a hooper. Shout out St. Louis, born and raised. We were just talking about how St. Louis doesn't come out with a lot of prodigies, but when they do, they're good, man. Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, and Anunoby. Shout out all those guys. All right, now we got to move into our next segment, one of the more popular segments, buy low, sell high. This was kind of a weird week because a lot of people kind of they played better than they usually do, and there was a couple of people that played a lot worse than they normally do. And the first guy that I want to talk about that played a lot better than he normally does is Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre gets a lot of slander in the basketball community. He's got the pieces to put it together, and it shows because he just went for his career high in points. He snagged a 69 fantasy point performance. So if there was ever a time to sell high on Kelly Oubre, it's right now, after he's shown that he can put the pieces together. And I think that should be kind of how you word it when you are talking in these trade negotiations. Like, he's just shown on this shorthanded Warriors team that he has the pieces to go get buckets, and he has the pieces to play as a tenacious defender. So I would try and sell Kelly Oubre high right now before it's too late and that 69 fantasy point performance kind of wears off in people's minds. And then my buy low candidate would be a guy that's been struggling a little bit, coming back from an injury. He's working in with two other stars, Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker has been struggling to find his rhythm, struggling to find his shot, and that changed a little bit in the fourth quarter of one of his last games when he hit that shot to put the game away. Jason Tatum was trying to sell. Jaylen Brown wasn't getting his normal buckets, but Kemba Walker came out and proved that he's still a force in this league to be reckoned with. And showing that little light has convinced me that he's a good buy low candidate right now, and he is going to get back on track before the end of the season. Especially with the Celtics, they tend to have a lot of injuries. Peyton Pritchard just came back. Marcus Smart is currently out. We got a 3-man rotation at center. So we're definitely a very guard-focused team and guard and Jason Tatum-focused team. So look for Kemba Walker to start picking it up. And I think he's the best definition of a buy low candidate right now.
That's a good one, yeah.
Carl, who do you have for buy low and sell high?
All right, so for buy low, sell high, my first person is more of I'd say not really, it's kind of not really quite any of those. It's more of a don't believe the hype right now. It's for Josh Jackson, who's coming off of a career high 28-point performance against the Lakers, and they went to multiple overtimes. Just because a lot of people may not have watched the games or noticed that was the flow of the game and just looked at the numbers. And I think he has he's a game of 22 points, 2 games back. And it looks like he's kind of if you look at the numbers straight up, it looks like he's kind of figuring it out, which he is to his own extent, but it's not going to be fantasy relevant in my opinion. So if you just so happen, this is me again, just trying to be crafty with trying to get a trade piece, a guy you can pick up and add maybe to, try to sprinkle a little extra to get somebody. Josh Jackson is a guy I don't want on my team, but has shown enough recently to maybe entice somebody else into maybe, making a move with him and maybe another player. You got to have those guys to try to spice up deals. And then I'd say my next guy I would love to talk about is actually a superstar for actually buy low, and it's Devin Booker. Mostly because he's another guy who the numbers aren't really adding up because he's missed so many games so far. And what a lot of people aren't really noticing is that a lot of people are kind of at least fantasy wise, you can kind of see him as just a big name who's either not performing, even though a lot of it is he's still kind of getting in rhythm due to the way the schedule's worked out for the Suns and the way his season's been coming together. And I think he'd be a perfect candidate to give up assets for right now on your fantasy team, because I feel like the rest of the season he's only going to trend upward. And the more he gets comfortable playing with Chris Paul, and he's shown he had a dagger earlier in the week, still gonna have stellar games, but those borderline career high games and stuff like that, those are all in the future for him. And I would love to have him on my team for that. So I would buy him now if you can get him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Devin Booker was a guy that really shined in the bubble last year and hasn't necessarily returned to that kind of form yet. I mean, it's a short off season, and sometimes it'll take some guys a little bit to get back into the swing of things when their mind wasn't necessarily in it at the beginning. So Devin Booker is, definitely another great definition of a buy low candidate at the moment. All right, we got to move into the juiciest of the juiciest. It's where we make all our money that we aren't making. Let's talk about waiver wire pickups. I personally have so many waiver wire pickups for you guys this week. We had a commenter get a little heated at us because we didn't mention every single person that should be picked up in a fantasy league, in a 16-team fantasy league. So I went through every single team and found the best ones for you. And I'm probably digging myself a hole because you guys are gonna find another person in your 24-team league and be like, well, why should I not pick up Shake Milton on the Sixers, who's playing 5 minutes a game now? So let's just set the precedent that we got jobs too, but we are gonna find you guys the best candidates for waiver wire pickups. I'm gonna give you the best, but this week I'm giving you so many. So there's no reason to complain this week. I got you guys. Starting off, we got DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is going to be the best waiver wire pickup. Granted, he's owned in quite a bit of leagues already. So, but I didn't want to get yelled at again. I didn't want to get in trouble with a commenter saying oh, you're not going to talk about DeMarcus Cousins. I'm talking about him. DeMarcus Cousins is going to fill the starting position for Christian Wood while he's out with his right ankle sprain. And who knows how long that's going to be. That could be a couple of weeks. And DeMarcus Cousins has shown that when he does play big minutes for the Rockets and with John Wall, he plays exceptionally well. He's having a great year on offense. He's getting a couple of blocks a game. Not a couple of blocks a game, but he's padding the blocks stat sheet. He's going to be a great candidate and definitely somebody that should be picked up if he's not owned in your league already. He's owned in like 65% of leagues. But I had to mention his name so I didn't get in trouble. One of the next guys on my list, before it's too late, you got 2 Spurs players that you should have on your watch list, if not on your team. Derek White and Jacob Poeltl. They have been hooping. LaMarcus Aldridge is out, so they're shorthanded. And Derek White is back, and he's feeling it. Jacob Poeltl is playing exceptionally well. He's had a couple 50-point fantasy point performances. Those are guys that you should definitely be looking out for. Moving on, we got Naz Reid. He continues to start while Karl Anthony Towns is out. Him and Anthony Edwards are starting to put it together. That's another waiver wire guy. I'm not going to put up the stats for every single one of these guys because that would take me so incredibly long. But I'm just going to talk about them for a little bit. Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards, those are guys that you should be watching, if not picking up. Naz Reid has been playing really well ever since he came back from his wrist injury when he fell against the Warriors a couple of weeks ago. But Anthony Edwards has also started 5 consecutive games and is starting to put it together on offense. He's showing flashes of why he was the number 1 overall pick. So definitely at least watch list that guy. Another couple of guys that you should be on the lookout for. Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice has been the starter for the Boston Celtics for the last couple of games. They're shorthanded at the moment without Marcus Smart. So he's going to be getting a little bit more touches. And if he's already owned in your league, you should also consider Robert Williams. He's a much more volatile option, especially if you're in a deeper league. That's somebody you should be looking out for. But when he's shown that when he plays like at least 15 minutes, he can put up a 25 to 30 fantasy point game. And he's a prime candidate for blocks too. Dude gets up. He's one of those guys that surprises you with how high he can jump. Moving on, more guys you should be thinking about on the waiver wire. I know Carl just said he's a sell high candidate, but Josh Jackson is a good option for category leagues if you are looking for blocks. I know a lot of people play categories. We play points league, but if you are looking for blocks, Josh Jackson is a good candidate on the shorthanded Pistons. They have 4 games coming up this week. Wayne Ellington's out. Blake Griffin seems to sit out every other game. So yeah, look out for Josh Jackson on the waiver wire. Continuing, I got more. Hamidou Diallo for the Thunder. What was it?
Hamidou Diallo?
Yeah, Hamidou Diallo. He's hooping for the Thunder right now. The Thunder are a little weird because we've talked about it before. The Thunder do whatever it takes to win each individual game. It's a different man each individual game. Sometimes you think it's going to be Basley. Sometimes you think it's going to be Dort. Sometimes you think it's going to be Diallo. So just keep an eye out on the Thunder. But George Hill is out amongst some other people on the Thunder. So Diallo could be a good option. He's shown that he's been playing really well recently. I think he's playing like 27 minutes per game in the last 5 games or something like that. And putting up numbers to back it up. Continuing, Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is balling out in the absence of CJ McCollum on the Portland Trail Blazers. I had him picked up. I streamed him off the waiver wires for the 1 game that he really, really sucked. And then the rest of the games he played super well. So Gary Trent Jr., I mean, the dude's hitting from 3. If you're in a categories league that needs 3-pointers, 3-point production, Gary Trent Jr. is that guy. Continuing, my final guy. I know it's been long-winded, but it's a guy that I think should win Rookie of the Year if the coach would just play him. Play the man, Emmanuel Quickley, IQ God, floater gang. Oh my God, the guy is so good. He hit 2 step backs in like back-to-back possessions from like 30 feet. It was so beautiful. I love me some Emmanuel Quickly. As a former Knicks fan, I was a Knicks fan because D Rose went there. And as soon as he left, I abandoned the bandwagon.
If he goes back.
Huh?
If he goes back.
I might end up having to be a Knicks fan because I love me some IQ, bro. Anyways, Emmanuel Quickly, he has shown that when he plays 20 minutes, the dude will go for 40. But when he plays 10 minutes and he only gets 4 shots, there's not much he can do. Knicks fans are begging for him to play. It's quite obvious that Obi Toppin was not the candidate that they thought he was going to be right off the bat this year. He's still got some work to do. Opposed to Emmanuel Quickly, who looks so confident and so composed. Like he doesn't hesitate when he doesn't need to. And when there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock and he gets the ball, he's taking his time, he's getting you in his spot, and he's taking a step back 3 or a floater, and he's hitting it in your mouth. And I love it. So keep an eye out for Emmanuel Quickly. That's a guy that I think will be starting for the Knicks by the end of the year over Elfrid Payton. They love Elfrid Payton because of his defense, but I don't know. I think you have to put Emmanuel Quickly on the floor with Mitch Robinson and Julius Randle, and that's a dynamic offense. So look for Emmanuel Quickly to be a guy with a super high ceiling, but also one of the lowest floors of the waiver wire pickups that we've talked about. All right. So that was all of my waiver wire pickups. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 waiver wire pickups. I don't want to see any comments about people I missed because Carl's also going to take some guys. So don't get mad at us.
I'm only doing 2. So I'm sticking to my guns. I'm only giving you a couple what I've been able to look through and actually maybe watch a little bit of the games and research. So I have Justin Holiday. So Justin Holiday, we mentioned, I'm kind of changing some things that I've said about him earlier in past shows, but it's the opportunity that was left when Karis LeVert was traded, and Justin Holiday does a lot of different things on the floor to really help the Pacers out, and just really low ownership right now. He's definitely a guy that's worth speculatively adding to your bench. And seeing how he pans out, at least for the next week, just to find out if what he's been doing over the past, couple weeks has been sustainable. I would make a speculative add. I'm not saying he's going to completely turn your roster around, but it's a name that I at least want to have, just hammered in my watch list as soon as possible, because it's, again, my big thing is opportunity, and one of the few guys that has as much opportunity as anyone in the league is Justin Holiday. And then that time to go into my next guy. My next guy was Cole Anthony, and it's also adding on to the the trend we've had here of opportunity is there's so many injuries in Orlando. Seems like every year there's a bunch of injuries in Orlando, and right now Cole Anthony is healthy, knock on wood, and so he's taken over a lot of minutes in that guard spot after Markelle went down, and then you see all the other stars go down. Like you see Gordon's down. Who else is out? Fournier's out. Yeah. So
and Markelle Fultz. So yeah, you mentioned all of them.
Yeah. So just number one rule is someone, even if it's not quite the same of production, there's just so much there for someone to grab, and Cole Anthony will have the ball in his hands more than most players on the floor. So there's a lot of production for him to go get. And so I would go grab him right now.
Yeah. A lot of opportunity for him. I mean, especially with that rebounding shooting center they got down there. Shout out Vucevic. He's hooping this year. You got to give him his credit when it's due.
He wasn't an all-star for no reason.
Yeah. He's playing really well. So those are guys that you should pick up, and I will also go into some teams with some fringe guys that you should consider dropping. So these teams only play 3 games this week, and the 3 games they play are against tough opponents. So guys that you should consider removing from your team for other streamers is the Jazz, the Kings, and the Hawks. They all play 3 games this week against tough opponents. So consider dropping those guys if you need to fill a roster spot. I think we got it, man. We covered it. Our episodes seem to be getting shorter, but we're packing in more content. So we really appreciate everybody that joined the team this last week. We once again, we doubled our subscribers in the last week. We doubled our watch time. So we really appreciate you guys. Those who aren't subscribed, please subscribe. We keep trying to do this giveaway, and we never get enough likes to do it. So we're trying to give away money, people. So once again, if we get 20 likes on this video, we will give away $20. The only things you have to do is like the video, be subscribed, and comment. That's all you got to do. And you'll be entered to win $20. And the most competition you could have is 19 other, or I guess the least amount of competition you could have is 19 other people. So 1 in 20, that's not bad odds.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want $20, which we will get to you, like, comment, and subscribe. Try and get us to 20 likes. We really appreciate it. To all the new people that are here, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. We'd love to keep you around. If you look at our last videos, people are commenting, and we'll have threads of 15 messages. We'll just be going back and forth. We love to talk to the people that follow the show. So I'll shout out a guy, actually, Sam Jacobowitz. That dude, he keeps commenting on all of our videos. So shout out Sam. We appreciate you, buddy. I think that's it, man. I think that's it. Is that it for week 7 of the fantasy basketball this week?
That's it. I mean, we covered everything we needed to today. So yeah.
Bet. Okay. Well, we'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching. Peace.